Well, we only have one more agenda item on the public agenda. Okay, anything else on that maintenance management plan? Jason, you done?
No, that's it.
You move on? Okay. Luann's op-ed, Scott?
Yeah. 2 weeks ago, on the 26th, onwards, Luann had a op-ed on being the beachcomber and the loop, and I was very upset when I read it. I was very upset. I went to the beachcomber after I read it, and I was advised that Natalie, and this is, I'm getting this secondhand or whatever else here, I was advised that Natalie had spoken with Luann, and that Luann had stated that the board had authorized her to write this letter. And that's why she printed it. So I went back in the meeting that I missed, through the minutes, and I found nothing in the minutes that indicated that anybody had authorized anybody to write the letter to the beachcomber. So then I talked to Doug, and who was at the meeting, and he didn't remember, in other words, that anybody had authorized Luann to write a letter representing the board. But he did know that he asked Luann to review the letter, because she said it was going to happen out there, to review the letter before it went to the beachcomber. I'm bringing this up on many levels here because first of all, is because this goes all the way back to our retreat, in the fact that it was my understanding at the retreat that we all agreed that no board member speaks for the board, that it takes 3 people to speak for the board. And so in that regard, whereas I see I see nothing that says that Luann to speak for the board. Luann had a very good letter in many parts here, but the challenge that really upsets me and sends a bad message to the public as far as the board is concerned, among other things, are all the we's. We are moving. However, we expect. Now again, when I see a thing in the beachcomber here, and it says at the end, Luann is the president of the Vashon Park District, that implies to me that she's speaking for the board. But she had no right to speak for the board. And so I have, now that's the first part, is the fact that, hey, if I want to write a letter, Bill, if you want to write a letter, you want to say I don't like this, or Joe says I like this, and whatever else, great. That's fine involved here. But I'm really disappointed. I mean, heck, I voted for Luann to be the president, and to do this, I think, sends the wrong message, whereas as far as what's happening here. Specific to the letter here, I'm upset because, again, if it had been sent out to me, and I don't know what if it had been sent out to you, but there are things in here that I think where it should not have been said to the public involved here. In other words, we'll go in here. Some things are semantics involved here, saying, "Hey, wow, we got the price, we got the fields for half price." Well, I mean, again, we've had this discussion before. Just because if you can't afford something and you can get it for half price, you still can't afford it. I don't support that. Bill supports that. He liked that idea. He was out in the first place. But in other words, I don't. Again, she's writing weed.
I appreciate this argument.
Yes.
And we've had it over the years.
Right.
And we've always cautioned the chair. Okay.
Yeah.
Bill Amling, Park Commissioner, can write whatever he wants, and he can say, "I feel like we're doing a good job. I feel like we got it."
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It's me saying this.
That's fine.
Okay. But what you have to watch out for is I can't say, and in the future the Park District is going to do that, because I don't know that. I could say in the future I'd like the Park District to put in a light. I would like to see it. And that's what you have to be very careful is even if you're careful, the public doesn't watch for those lines, okay? If Bill writes something out there, there's a lot of people that think it's done deal.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Exactly. And that's my.
Even if I say it's only my idea,
I understand.
they think it's a done deal. So you're absolutely correct, because I wouldn't have been apologetic if I wrote. You see what I'm saying?
I understand. I understand.
If
Bill,
I wrote that letter, it'd been entirely different.
I understand that, but I'm getting in here too that we're sending the wrong messages. Words. I know what. I think I know. I can't speak specifically what Luann's intent was involved here, but we've sent the wrong message to the public again, and we're down here at the end here. I mean, at the end of the first column here. We expect to complete the work on the Fields project this year. Now again, I just heard in this conversation that we don't know whether it's 134, 184, or 100,000, and yet, whereas I'm seeing something here from the president that's going to the public that we expect to pay for that this year. So again, and where is this money going to come from? And that's one thing that also upsets me in the fact that Luann and I have had conversations that I don't think that we should be, that the Park District should pay for the entire cost of this here, and there should be other sources coming in here. Now, she's asked me to research people, and because I haven't had a number yet, it hasn't been important yet, but I've been talking to the community about how they should be funded. I didn't bring it up or whatever else here because I was waiting till it had, but now I get this, and this contradicts anything I'm going to bring up involved here. So I'm having issues as far as this is concerned here. Plus, I don't like the idea that here at the end here, where your thoughtfulness and response as far as being fiscal responsible here, where it's note our efforts in creating a refined accounting system, hiring a manager where it's with finance background, and our vision of eliminating debt. Well, this is responding to the questionnaire. As it turns out, 2 of those 3 things were done before the questionnaire was even sent out here. So this implies that we were responding to the questionnaire. We weren't. We already did it. So
therefore, even saw the questionnaire.
I understand.
And I understand the questionnaire is invalid.
Right. There you go. There you go. But my point is, this sent out it's a message that we're trying to get the public behind it here. We're getting Joe behind us as far as trying to support the levy involved here. And here we are again going off without sound numbers here. It shows us that we're not listening. We haven't learned anything. And so I'm upset.
All right.
Okay.
So I too don't agree with the letter, but I'm on the other side of it, you understand?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Okay, so you're saying one thing and I'm saying another.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't represent, it takes 3 to say the Park District says this.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
if I write a letter saying this is what I want, this is what I'm trying to do, you can't tell me I can't.
Agreed. I can't. I'm not suggesting you. But my point.
But what you can say is, Bill, be careful to make it known to the public. It's your opinion.
Exactly. Exactly. And that. But the point is here is we've taken a step back here. In one thing she says, we have these new commissioners, things are different, and then she does the same thing we did before. We went ahead with the Fields project and we didn't know how much it was going to be, but we said we're going to do it, and we did as much as we've done involved here. And now she's proposing we're doing the same thing again here. My concern here is the fact that we're trying to build trust here, and I believe that Luann has let us down. I believe that Luann has let us down, and I think it's hurt the Park District. When her total intent, and I can read this here, is the fact that she wanted to quote unquote move on or do better things, that kind of stuff here. And I think that this is, and I purposely didn't write a letter back to the Beachcomber or whatever else here, because I wanted to research it here, and more importantly, I wanted to get things together with all 5 of us present here, if you have nothing else, to make sure, number 1, this never happens again when the 5 of us are still serving. Never happens again. And number 2, that we work to get this thing, towards this direction changed as far as our financing is concerned.
Okay, you just said 2 things. The first thing I'm with you on that we should be working closer together to what we put out there, okay? The second thing is getting the finances straight is something that I think we already did, and it shouldn't be a high priority. What should be a high priority is running a park district. So you and I are on different ends of this table. But your basic thrust tonight is be careful what you write. Make sure that people know. And here's what's really difficult for the chair. If I write something that says Bill Amling, Commissioner, if it said Bill Amling, Commissioner and Chair, it kind of elevates it. And so the chair has an extra responsibility when they write something that people don't get confused. And it's a toughie. Luann can write whatever she wants. She just can't say that's what the board said. Okay.
Okay.
So Scott, what's your,
Well, I think that I think that the board should. I'm thinking that the board should come up with an updated letter. Well, I think what we need to do is we need to clarify things with the Beachcomber, among other things, because again, they published information that was incorrect. And I'm talking.
They've always done that. They've done that for years.
Well, no. But they published. In other words, if nothing, if everybody makes a mistake, the Beachcomber, I was told by the Beachcomber, Susan stepped in to me or whatever else here, that if the Beachcomber had known that this was Luann speaking as opposed to Luann speaking to the board, it would not have been published.
No, I didn't say that.
You didn't say that. Okay, please. Okay.
Okay,
What did you say?
Join us.
What did you say?
Can you come up here because I can't hear? I'd like you to join us in this conversation because you see the nuances.
Well, I'm sort of a little bit removed. From my understanding was that Natalie communicated with Luann, I don't know if it was over the phone or via email, that Luann had a sense from some meeting or gathering, I don't know if it was a retreat or whatever, that a community outreach would be good and that she felt tasked with writing something for the paper. And that she told Natalie that she would run it by Elaine. I was not part of the process. Natalie thought that that was sufficient.
No, here's my question to you.
Uh-huh.
Going forward, okay, because this is all over you. There's the nuance of me writing my opinion, and there's the nuance of it's a board opinion. How do we phrase or put those things differently?
Well, I think that that's really up to you folks. If there's I mean, we can't be dictating your process. I totally understand the argument, but I feel like that's up to you all to decide. If someone wants to write it and say we are going to trust that you've been through whatever process that you had agreed upon. Does that make sense?
So you're saying you don't have any responsibility to find out if it's true or not?
No, that's not what I'm saying at all. We thought that a process had taken place that the board...
But you didn't check it out to see if a process had taken place?
You could ask a million people. Yeah.
Well, no, we didn't. And we... first of all, I'm not even the person, so I don't even know. But I don't suppose that Natalie called Elaine to find out. There was a process between Luann and the editor. And, obviously, we might ask some more questions now, but we felt from our end that we thought things were clear at this end.
But you didn't check, that's the point.
I don't know if we checked. Did she check?
Why would you check that?
I mean, I don't think that we should have to do that.
I know, why would you check? Right.
I mean, but we're going to trust people to be grown-ups and do their process.
Right.
And process is sometimes ugly, but
Right.
we do have some trust with
No,
our community partners.
And we've worked together long enough that, when I mentioned, because I am now like the only remaining person on the PR committee that we've talked about for a while. I put the survey out. So I mentioned as I think we were leaving last meeting, a couple meetings ago, and I said, I'm gonna put something in the paper, try to create communication, and I'll put a first one out there. And so, if we want to vote on this from now on, that's fine. And everything I put in there, I'm confident I have 3 votes for that support the positions that I put in there.
Okay, so I would put this on the table. What's passed is passed. Luann heard what we had to say. Rather than put a counter letter out there, it would be fair game over the next 2 to 4 weeks to put together a voted on board goals for the year. Okay? What are our goals for the year? What are our goals for the year that 3 of us can get behind, and you publish this is the board's goal for the year. Now the tone of her letter is kind of like a cheerleader, yay, yay, let's go. But I would put out a board's goal for the year. Here's what we hope to accomplish and how to do it. Usually that's what the budget says, because that's their goals for the year. But if we can put that into words, okay? Because you and me, we're running around the community, and I'm saying we don't need more than 100 in reserve, and you saying I want 3. They're hearing 2 different voices.
But there's 3 votes.
No, but I'm saying they're hearing 2 different voices. I can say that, he can say that.
Right.
But if we come up with a board's goal for the year, and we put our hands up, okay? There's an official document of what we intend to do for this year. And then there can't be any, then we review it when it's written, of course. But it's not a counter letter. You see what I'm getting at? Once you start countering, and the public doesn't know what you said, all they know is there's an argument.
And you've created an argument, and is that, and I mean, part of this is and Scott, I don't, what do you want the Park District to be? Do you want to create controversy so that, and show that?
No, I'm looking at the Park District to be physically responsible. That's my goal, right? So I read whatever else involved here, and fiscally responsible involved here, and the entire tone of it, and I do not consider it was fiscally responsible last year, and the entire tone of this letter to me was business as usual. It was that basically that nothing had changed, and we're going to go, but basically we did nothing wrong last year, and we're just going to keep on doing nothing wrong, and that's, and so my big issue here was that we learned nothing, and that we're not telling the public that we've learned, and that we're going to do anything, we're going to try to improve.
But what you just said could be absolutely true, that we're going to go on the way we did. 3 votes could make us go on the way we did.
Well, we have.
Well, and
I don't know that we're getting anywhere here. I think, but we really do need to focus on what we're going to do going forward. And it seems to me that we're going to have disagreements, and I think we spend an awful lot of time trying to come up with a set of shared goals for the year. And I don't know that would really take us very far compared to, say, approving a budget, which is in effect pretty much that, which has been done already. And so I would think that, and we're going to find people out there who say, anytime any one of us writes anything or gives an opinion to the beach forum or anything, you're going to assume that that person is speaking for the board. And we can't do anything about that. That's just the reality. That's the way people will take the message. But I do think that if somebody writes something for the beach forum, it's not so much, is it, to put a disclaimer in there saying the writer, whoever it is speaking for themselves and not for the board. And it seems to me that's enough protection against the problems that we're seeing here. And so Luann writes it, Scott doesn't agree with it, but it's on record that it's Luann speaking and not Scott.
I have no problem disagreeing with anyone if you involved here. It just, we should be working as a board here. I think if anything else, just, and it's simple, and I think Luann owes the board an apology.
I'm unrepentant because what I put in there,
Well, that's
I
fine.
knew I had 3 votes, and whether I agreed with it or not, when I put those in there, I had 3 votes that support those positions that I mentioned in there. For the fields, for the accounting system, and for, there's one more thing, I can't remember. I tried to pull it up here. I couldn't.
So where are we going with this conversation? That's my question. She's not gonna apologize.
So,
you know
but
what I'm saying?
My issue was that I would have liked to read it first. That
Yeah.
was my issue, because
Yeah.
I would have liked to read it first, because it had a lot of we's in it. So,
Yeah, and that's,
other than that,
and
it's
I,
not exactly what I would have said.
And there you go, Luann.
But,
We all like to read it first, and you're not willing to apologize for that?
and then, there was no understanding ahead of time that we were gonna do that. And I purposely tried to represent all of our viewpoints, meaning that I knew I had 3 votes for each position that I stated on there. And I don't think you can refute that. And I steered away from things that I personally support that I don't have support for on the board. I mean, I just didn't. I didn't go there. Because as the chair, I felt like it was important to put a message out there that we're moving forward and we're moving past the fields and we're moving forward. And let's like acknowledge we got the fields, and that's what I said. We got the fields, and now we're moving forward.
Okay, but the
And-
point of the conversation isn't that.
I understand.
So what we're down to right now is, Luann heard us, okay? You heard what we said.
I did.
And we would look forward in the future to at least being copied in advance. Can we agree to that?
Yeah. No, that's
Okay.
that's fine.
And everyone is free to do what they feel like.
And I think it would be helpful if we as the board could come together and work on a strategy, have a public relations strategy. And I brought this up before, and all the feedback I got was, oh, Luann, you go do your public relations thing, haha, nobody reads the Beachcomber or whatever. Well, you know what? We have a levy coming up. I think it's important that we look like we have our shit together. And if we keep kind of poking at specific things, then we're never going to move forward as a park district. And we're always going to look like, we can't quite get it together. And, and we're looking for people for funding. I mean, let's get a foundation together and have people give money to the park district. I mean, none of us would give money to the park district right now.
We don't need a foundation, we don't need funding.
Well, great. Then, but if we had somebody that wanted to give us money for some project
You
or
gotta
whatever.
watch, if someone wants to give us money, then they want to give us their opinion. I wouldn't take money from the NRA.
Well, no, but if they support something.
But you would.
If somebody wanted to give us money for, bleachers for the field or something, which they
That's
already
different,
have.
that's different.
Then,
I'm just saying,
Same
we don't
deal.
need the Cook brothers involved.
They wouldn't give us money, I mean, we need to build our reputation, and I don't get a sense that
We
people
don't
understand that.
build a reputation if we don't change our position. I mean, again, well, actually, if everything was so good last year, then you wouldn't have to build your reputation.
If- well-
If everything was so good last year, then we don't need to change it.
That's exactly what I said at the very end. My very end comment is, we need to earn your trust back.
I don't think we lost it.
Well, there you go.
12 people.
Yeah.
What, 6 people out here bidding and we lost the public's contract? Bullshit.
When I get a survey that tells me
Okay, so he
differently,
says we did, he says we did, I said we didn't, he
You
said
talk
we
to a
did.
random person, they don't trust
Huh?
us.
you
They don't
talk,
trust us.
I mean,
Well, not everyone I
It all
talk
depends
to,
who
we
you're
obviously
talking to,
go in different circles, so.
but
your
then
opinion, your
why
opinion,
is it
my
that they
opinion.
cleaned house
Okay,
and
so-
I was a very
Wait a
small,
minute.
thin vote?
So,
Does that tell you
here's my
something?
question right now.
Hello?
Where are we going with this? We're dancing in circles.
We need to understand who we are, and then
I know who I am.
well, we need to understand who we are as a park district and represent that to the public. And the problem that you don't think we have a problem is the problem.
No, that's
There you
your
go.
opinion.
No,
That's it there.
again, it's an opinion.
Well, that's
Your
it.
opinion.
Well,
So here's what it is. You're not who you say you are. You're who, what you do. If you look at the budget, that says a lot more than anything else. I look at that budget and it says, I'm going to finish this field. It says so in the budget, and we voted on it. It says, I have this much faith in maintenance. We voted on it. Okay. When you do the budget, that says more than anything else of who you are. You come here next year and you got a budget with a huge reserve and we pass it. That says a lot more than Scott running around saying we ought to have a big reserve.
So Bill, is that what people voted on when they voted out John and David didn't run again and I had such a thin vote?
David
Is
wasn't
that
going to
what
run
people were
anyway.
voting
John
on?
didn't even make an effort, so.
But, you know,
Luann, you can't speculate. You don't know. Okay? So I just want to close this out tonight because we're not going to get anywhere. Are we going to get anywhere, Doug?
I don't see what we're talking about.
Okay, that's right.
Thank you.
I suggest we move on to the next item.
fine.
Agreed. Huh?
Can I just clarify one point here?
Yeah.
Sure.
And I think that I'm going to answer your question. The opinion pages of the paper are specifically for community groups or individuals to have a voice. They're different than a news story. They are opinion pages. I believe that our position is that we would welcome something from you, any of you as individuals, or something from you collectively. And so just so that's clear, those pages exist for community members.
The Beachcomber has not earned my trust back yet.
Well,
I've written
it's mutual.
op-ed pieces. It's been a few years since I've written one for the Park District, but I do remember running it by the rest of the board members to get their opinion on it before I submitted it. And that was for, I just thought it was done.
Well, and just one other final thing here but there was a precedent last year in the fact that I remember, and I thought it was very innocuous, the questionnaire that went out there last year that I thought was very great that Luann and John brought up or whatever else here. Hackett and everybody else was all about the fact that they wanted to read it and make sure it was done before it went out there. I think there were just questions involved here. So I thought this had a precedent in the fact that if something as innocuous as a questionnaire needs to be blessed by the board, that things like this should be blessed by the board. And that was part of the issue involved here. Yeah.
All right,
Go
so
to executive session.
executive session. I'm thinking probably half an hour.
10 minutes.